Hello and welcome to my workshop. Today we're going to make a bowl. I'm going to show you roughly how it goes. So from Hexham Hardwoods yesterday, or was it the day before? But day before, we bought some small pieces of elm, £3 each. And this one is approximately 14 centimetres in diameter. Looking at the piece of wood, they've already rounded it off, so I don't have to worry about that. The tree initially grew that way, vertically, so this is into the side of the tree. It's got some nice figuring on it on this side, and also this side, but it's got a small crack just in it there. I don't know if you can see that. And I don't know how far in the crack goes. It doesn't come all the way through. So my initial thoughts are we'll go into this side as the top of the bowl, and this side will be the foot of the bowl, so that when I curve it in to the bottom, that crack hopefully won't appear. If I curved it in this way, the crack might end up losing a lump of wood off it. It's a shame, because some nice sort of figuring there where some branches came out. First thing we need to do is find the centre. So a pair of calipers set at 7 centimetres, we'll put quick crosses on it. If we can find the centre, and I don't know if you can see it there, they're my crosses. So centre is going to be roughly about there. It's not perfectly round, so the first thing we'll have to do is round it off. So I'll go and drill a hole into the centre and we can attach it to the chuck on the lathe. I'll be back in a moment. So here we are back again. I put a hole 8.5 millimetres into the middle of what is going to be the top of the bowl, and I'm going to attach it to this screw thread on my chuck, which isn't an easy operation because elm is so hard. That's firmly on the chuck, and I'll get everything set up and we can start doing some turning. This is my steady. All it does is give it a bit of support on this side, stop it wobbling. And this is my rest, which I'll rest the tools on while I'm working. Before I start the lathe, I just need to make sure, I need this as close as I can because it supports the tool, but I need to make sure, because this isn't perfectly round yet, that it doesn't hit it on the way round. And we're going to start off with this chisel, a roughing gouge. No, it won't. I'll start off with it. This chisel, it should be reasonably sharp from last time, otherwise I'll sharpen it. And we'll try and get it round. Probably spinning at about 800-900 RPM. I'll switch it on. There you go. It's quite stable, so I leave it at about 1200. I'm just going to run the gouge across it. You can hear it chattering because it's not round. there's no chattering. So it should be fairly round. Okay, we've got some woodworm holes in the side. It's a shame they weren't on the outside. Wonder how far in they go. Okay, what we need to do to make the bowl is we'll need to turn this around so that I can gouge out the middle. But in order to do that, I need to be able to hold this side on the chuck, and it'll clamp or expand into, so clamp onto a foot or expand into a recess. So we're going to do a recess, and we're going to do a recess about 60 millimeters. Sharpie, so 60 millimeters. There. What I need to do is just make that line all the way across, so hold it there, spin it round, and then we want a reasonable size foot. So that's going to be my foot. So I will take out this area, take off this area, and that will remain, and that's what it's going to sit on. Can you see that? So I think the first thing is we'll just take a bit off the side. So I've got that line there, which is where I need to stop. So I need to just curve the outside of the bowl. Outside sort of in a rough curve. It's a bit rough at the moment, so I'm just going to do a couple of light passes and try and get that a little bit smoother. And up to the top. doing. Yes, there's a couple of little shakes in it, so let's take those out. So here we've got the outside of the bowl. Just want to make the foot stand out a little bit more. Let's have a look at it. So yeah, it goes reasonably up to it. I just want to make that a bit proud, and then we'll go in there. So using a slightly different tool, if I can find it. No. Use it the other day. Now we can look at the foot. So we're going to have to take this away so I can get into the centre. That allows me to get to the centre. I'm going to use a slightly smaller gouge to get in there. Raise my rest a little bit. Need to go in here probably about good 3/4 centimetre. I'm just gonna mark my boundary, a bit closer again, and take out the middle bits. And hopefully there you can see we've now got a recess which the jaws can clamp onto. Once I've turned it round, I can't then do any work on this. So the first thing I'm going to do is do a little bit of sanding on here, just get it all nice and smooth, and then we'll swip it round. So I'll show you the sanding at the end, you don't need to see this bit. So I'll just pause and I'll get on with that. I'll come back to you in a minute. So we've done a bit of the sanding. You can hear me a bit better at the moment. When that extractor's on, this is taking all the dust straight out, so it's a bit better for my lungs. I'll switch it on. Hopefully you can still hear me. So that's standing done with 80 grit, but you'll still get little lines because the sandpaper itself is going to leave abrasions on the wood. So I don't know if you can quite see, but there are tiny little scratch marks on it. That's how the sandpaper works. So what I'm now going to do is do exactly the same with 120 grit and 180 grit, and then I'll show you the 240 grit. So I'll do the other two. I'll be back when I do 240. As promised, then back with the 240. So it's just a little disc of sandpaper. It's got a Velcro backing that goes on this little tool which spins around. And this helps to make any marks on the bit of wood if you hold it in one place too long. Now if I put one side of this onto the wood, the whole thing spins round. So not only is the wood spinning round, but the sandpaper is also spinning round. And that allows me to get quite a fine sand on the piece. Sounds like it's got a motor in it, but it hasn't. Just because the disc is spinning at 2,190 RPM. That's that done at 240. I'll now do it at 400. That's 400 bits of grit per square inch. That's how it's measured. It doesn't fly off, the Velcro is going. So we now have quite a nice finish on the wood. I just need to get rid of all the dust out of those wormholes. Compressor going, and what we're going to do is put a gentle sanding sealer on here, and then we're going to use some abrasive paste. So I use a spray on because I just put a light coat on. Just to speed up the drying process a little bit, turn the speed down. There's a handful of sawdust. Just burnish it, and just helps it dry. Get rid of any imperfections. Now this isn't a finish, this is just a sealer to seal the wood, to accept the finish. I'm going to put a wax, an oil finish on this one. There we go. So that's finished it nicely, but we want to get a really high gloss sheen on this piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some abrasive paste on. It's the most famous one in the world, believe it or not. It's called Yorkshire Grit. It looks backwards to me, but hopefully you can see that the right way around. And it's just a fine paste with a very fine grit in it, and it's the equivalent of sanding it to 1000 grit. So I get some on my cloth. I'm going to put a relatively liberal amount on. And again, this isn't a finish, this is still preparing the wood. And with that same bit of cloth, I can just turn the speed down a bit. And all we do is hold the cloth on it. And this is still, even though it's just paste, it's got fine, sandy, gritty type things in it. It's still effectively sanding the wood, giving us a better finish on the outside of the wood. You can do it with sandpaper, but it takes a long time, and the less dust we have in the workshop, the better. So I've got 3 hoovers in here. This one for the floor, an extractor in the ceiling, just taking out any dust, keeps off all Anna's washing. So it's still coming off. Good one. And now we've got a super finish. But it's got some of that grit on it still, so I just need to give it a quick wipe down. I'll just use some methylated spirits. Some alcohol would be better, but I don't have any at the moment. And I'm just going to get rid of any extra Yorkshire grit that might be around. Check there's none in my wormholes. Don't want it clogging up in there. It gives you a bit of a sense of what the grain is going to look like once this piece is finished. Right, that's methylated spirits, that's dried already. So we're ready now to go ahead and put our, I think I'll go for a wax finish, I think, on this. It's, the grain's already come out really well, so there we go, wax. Or should we go oil? I do like oil where I can. Let's do oil. So this is, and you can see that, it's a burnishing oil, but it's citrus, it smells of lemons. It's absolutely amazing to smell, and it's lovely once it's in the house, and it keeps it smell for quite a while. Anna loves the smell as well, so we'll put some citrus oil on it. It's burnishing oil. It's called burnishing because once it's on, you spin it up, hold the cloth against it, and then the oil dries very quickly on the cloth, on the piece, and you can put a couple of coats on fairly quickly, rather than a Danish oil you're looking at waiting for probably a good 12 hours in between coats. And one thing about wood turning that I really like is you can actually get on with it, get a piece started, get a piece finished in the day. So, not that I'm desperate to hurry up with all these things, but it's nice to see the finished article. So that's on. I'll start her up. Probably start on about 800 or so. Here it is, 800. And I'm just going to hold the same cloth against the piece while the oil dries. Spin it up a bit. Now once it's being held by the foot the other way round, I can still get to this bit, so I will put a final coat on once I've done the inside of the bowl. But for the base, this is going to be it. And I don't know if you can see that. Lovely bowl with a base. What we need to do now is take it off, turn it round, and do the inside. There are those wormholes that I was talking about, but it adds a bit of character. Now these jaws expand and contract, and hopefully, if I've done it correctly, it will expand into the bowl. And there we have a bowl, hopefully fairly well steady, ready to do the inside. I could bring up the rest to hold the inside to start with, but I think it's fairly steady. It's a fairly small bowl, so we should be all right. Just with this. Now we haven't flattened it off yet, so we just spin it to make sure it's not going to hit this. I'm just going to sharpen up my tool. I'll pause you, I'll be back when I've done that. Oh, we're all sharpened up. And now to start taking away the inside of the bowl. Don't do it too quick for this operation. 1280, and we just start. You can see there's already a hole in the middle from the top, from where we mounted it, so it's just gently into the middle. Lots of little cuts, don't want to be too aggressive. See, now our hole has disappeared from in there. There's two things I need to be careful of. One is how wide I want the walls of the bowl, and the other is how deep before we go into that recess. And I've got about another centimetre. There we go. There's still a bit to go. And there are the wormholes coming through from the other side. So it depends, if they come all the way through and become a problem, then I'll put some filler in and try and fill those. But let's just see. Continue the adventure. The only pressure I'm putting is to hold it down to stop it bouncing around. I'm not pushing hard against the wood at all. Get much thinner than that, I don't think, but let's move this out of the way. I get a bit more into it. Couple more passes and I think the bowl shape will be about there. So now that's roughly there. I'm just going to give it a scrape on the inside using a scraper. How's that? So, nice flat base. A little bit of a mark there around the edge where I can't quite get my tool. So that's going to have to come off with a little bit of sandpaper, I think. Still got the edge to finish. Or could I? Let me have a look. Knock there, the branch was making that noise. There's another one there on the outside. I'd rather try and get rid of that. Let's see if we can get rid of it. outside one. The inside one, just there's nothing we can do about. Nice sharp finish is good. It's just that. I don't want to. What could I do? What could I do? That sorted it. Right then, that's the sort of wood turning side of it done. Just get rid of some of these. And have a look at what we okay, so we've got a nice bowl shape there, nice smooth finish, and we're going to do the sandpapering and then see what's going on with these. Let me give them a quick blow. So I'll start off sandpapering with the 80 and I'll go up and I'll bring you back when I do the abrasive paste and we look at the finish. Oh, I'm back then. I'm going to go with the abrasive paste. So the sanding's all done, went quite well. And more coming off there. Wipe it all off. Methylated spirits. Don't leave any behind. Especially in those holes. Right, is that done? Quick spin, make sure it's dry. Excuse me. And Going on with our burnishing citrus oil. I'm going to put 3 coats of this on. So put it in those holes and go around the edge and the back side. So, that's where I said I can still access the back, but not the foot. I want to make sure it's gone into the wood so we can show off the grain. Don't put the lid on, I will spill it. Okay. So in the burnishing we're just trying to get the oil hot and dry. Not trying to hold it so hard that it actually takes the oil off. Some of it will have soaked in by now. Yeah, it's got a dull sheen. I want a bit of a higher gloss to it, so let's go for another coat. Give it a second to dry. And let's burnish it. Okay, I might put it back on the lathe and give it a wax tomorrow, but that's the bowl. Let's have a look at our finished article. And here you see one English elm from Northumberland bowl. That was the foot we did, which held it. Sits nicely. And if you can see that on the top, and ideal for putting something rubbish in. So didn't know about the holes initially. It's strange they weren't on the outside of the piece. They must have come in this way through the wood, but they weren't on the outside. They don't go all the way through. Some of them probably do, but it doesn't bother me. I could fill them in, but it just adds a bit of character to the piece. That's where some of the branches were coming out. It's nice, but little trinket bowl made of elm, burnished with citrus oil. There we go, simple as. All right, let's love, bye.